Hi again then guys, and welcome to the 69th episode of Days Gone By, the review series of course for Gran Turismo's classic car lineup in particular, and this vehicle is one which can easily be overlooked in the classic sports car class, but is potentially, for the right driver of course, worth looking into. The vehicle is the Nissan Fairlady 2000. From way back in the day. It's a relatively well-priced classic, I would say, at 55,000 credits. Unfortunately, it's not a premium, but plenty of other classics aren't either, and as the name suggests, it's powered by a 2-litre engine, it's rear-wheel drive, and you can turbocharge that engine up to some pretty good numbers. 320 horsepower is not bad at all, 242 foot-pounds of torque is also pretty decent, but when you combine those two things with the weight of the car, that's when it gets really good, because this particular Fairlady only weighs 812 kilos. That is of course with the full weight loss package, but because of that and the very healthy power output, you're looking at almost 400 horsepower per tonne. That is very impressive territory. In fact, that's not far off a first generation Corvette. That's pretty good. It's very good, in fact, especially for a 55,000 credit machine. So it has good specs, and even the PP level is only 505, which is very useful. Just remove a couple of parts and you're instantly race ready. But how does it actually perform? Because for those who haven't bought the car, maybe you don't want to spend 55,000 credits plus tuning for something which may not turn out to be that great. Well, to drive, it has some similarities, I would say, to the Triumph Spitfire and some of the older TVRs. It looks kind of like some of those vehicles, but it has more of a Japanese flair to it. Now, of course, it's a Japanese car, so you'd expect it to, but what I mean by that is that, at least in my opinion, there are certain Japanese classics, and I guess modern cars to some degree as well, that feel distinctly Japanese in as much as they feel smaller and lighter than they actually are. I would say that this is definitely a car which does that. It feels maybe like a 700 to 750 kilo machine through the corners, and it definitely feels very nimble. It's not actually an overly small car. It's a decent sized sports car, but it feels small and nimble, like an MX-5 would, or like a Triumph Spitfire would. And that's one of the reasons why I would liken it to the Triumph Spitfire. Unlike the Spitfire though, it has better straight line power, because that's the biggest disadvantage with the Triumph. It's great through the corners and really nice to drive, but not amazingly quick in a straight line. This one is far quicker. And that is the reason why I compare it to not only the Spitfire, but also something like a TVR V8S, but condensed down into a smaller, lighter, older package. Because, just like a classic TVR would, it feels fast, and it's got so much power for such a relatively small, lightweight sports car that it has that kind of straight line grunt that you'd expect from a TVR. Now, I have to admit, I'm not a huge fan of this car, so I'm purely speaking from an objective point of view. And I don't hate the vehicle, I don't even dislike it, it's just a car which I don't really care for. I think visually it's nice enough, but it doesn't really grab me. I prefer vehicles like the Spitfire or like some TVRs or even other Japanese classics as well over this one, because to me it just looks okay. It doesn't look great to me. But of course that's just me, and even visuals aside, which is a trivial thing in the pursuit of performance of course, when you're talking just about performance and about trackability, handling, performance, especially acceleration, but also top speed, this car really is, I would say, an example of a vehicle which gives you everything that you need from a small, classic ragtop. It's light, it's powerful, it's fast on the straights, it has very good handling. You can get the tail out, as you can see in this video, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. Certainly a good little drifter as well. And to cap it all off, the PP level is very reasonable, and so is the price. So although it's not necessarily a perfect beginner's car at 55,000 credits, it's not that unattainable. It's certainly a lot cheaper than something like a Prince Skyline, for instance, at 320,000, or many other classics, the BMW 507 or the Mercedes Gullwing. It's far more affordable than many of those other cars. So although I wouldn't say that this is a car which every classic enthusiast must buy, I would definitely recommend giving it a look, because it's a good car, for sure, in pretty much every way, and the only way which you could improve it a little bit, ideally, is actually top speed. It's got more than enough top speed for most tracks, but if you're looking purely for top-end speed, it can be beaten by stuff like the Toyota 2000 GT, the Jag E-Type, the Mercedes Gullwing, the Lancia Stratos. Those cars are quicker. But that's not really saying much in the grand scheme of things, because those vehicles are among the quickest classics you can get. So overall, this is definitely what I would say is a good classic all round, and it's certainly worth checking out. But that's it for this episode overall. I'll see you guys next time, and as always, thanks for watching.